Brother's Big Archive. I just did this message to share a little bit about what we got planned for Big Brother's Big Archive in the upcoming weeks, upcoming months, and then I'm going to say a little bit about last night's Big Brother 15 finale, because I'm sure we all have an opinion on it, and I can imagine a lot of it being negative, but we'll get to that later. In terms of Big Brother's Big Archive though, we're planning to get the Big Brother 15 podcast recorded on the Monday, hopefully distributed online on YouTube by the Wednesday. I'm on board for it, we've got Carl on board. We're going to try and get Paul back as well. Joseph's a little bit unsure, but hopefully things will clear up in his schedule and he can join us. Also, we've got our Christmas special planned. I know it's August, what you're doing, but it's going to be viewer questions. So if you have anything you want to ask us about Big Brother as a series, anything about ourselves, anything about Big Archive, then we have no problem answering it. And the more questions that we get, the better the show's going to be, because I really enjoy making the show. I hope you do as well. And the more questions we get, obviously the better the show's going to be. Now, in regards to last night's finale, I'm not going to be saying the same sort of thing that I can imagine a lot of people is about, oh, Helen's the worst winner ever, Ashley was robbed, it's all a fix, etc. Because I'm not going to be saying anything new. It probably spoiled the Big Brother 15 podcast, but one thing I'm going to be talking about is more than anything the mechanisms of how Helen won. And some of the grievances that I have in that regard, rather than the grievances with Helen as a person. Although this is all ad-lib, so if I do end up saying that, then I'm sorry for that. And particularly it's the redemption arc, which I have the real issue with. To be honest, I don't really have a problem with Helen winning itself. I mean, she was the biggest character of the show, and I think those sort of characters need to be rewarded over someone like Sam, for example. But this redemption storyline that production sort of painted about Helen was, in my eyes, just far too contrived. It did the stuff with the secret room and the stuff with the jury talk case where Helen was painted as causing the conflict. It felt very blatant on regards to production, and I think as well Helen, on her part, it almost has felt a lot of the more sentimental moments that Helen did have were influenced by production. I can imagine production having a bit of a word in Helen's ear, making sure she says certain things to try and appear in a good light. And I mean, this isn't anything new. I want to stress this isn't anything new. I mean, this has been happening since the Jade Goody era, and we even saw it in January with Jim Davidson. But I think the big difference is with Jade's redemption arc, it was done a lot more subtly. I think production did well to try and sell Jade as a changed person. I think Jade herself did very well in that regard as well, and the audience bought it because it felt genuine. It was done in a genuine manner which felt natural, in a way that Helen's redemption arc, partly because of Helen herself, partly because of the sledgehammer approach production took, I'd never bought. I really felt it's naturalist. But the big grievance I have in that regard is that even something so blatant was bought by the audience. And I mean, I know the audience aren't the art house types which are going to be watching old BBC 4 Scandinavian documentaries, but the fact they didn't see through something so transparent, I have issues with. And I mean, it's more vindictive towards the audience, in my opinion, rather than on Helen herself and on the show. Another thing I do have, because I do know Helen fans online, I had a lot of them on my stream yesterday, and one of the things they always kept saying to me was the whole idea of, oh, Helen's real, Helen's being entertaining even though she's being nasty, Ashley's being two-faced and miserable, etc. And it's the idea of Helen being entertaining despite being controversial, because if you know me, I love a good Big Brother villain, and if you listen to Big Brother's Big Archive, you'll know that I've praised the likes of Charlie, Rex, Grace, etc. over the years. And yet, in my opinion, honestly, I don't even think Helen was that good of a villain. I mean, yes, she was controversial, yes, she caused controversy, but once you saw one Helen argument where she was screaming and bawling and losing her temper with everybody, you pretty much saw all of them. And she never really did anything different over the course of the series and just got really stale by the end of it. I mean, someone said it on Survivor Sucks, I think, which said it perfectly, which is she was Sally Axel with a path to the final. But the big difference was, while Sally Axel was the same sort of controversial, over-the-top figure, because she was only in that 1 week and she left before she got tired as a character, she was looked back a lot more highly. Helen, though, stayed around far too long, well past the sell-by date, and the show suffered as a result because Helen was such a central character to the show. and because production wanted to try and justify the pass to the final as going to someone deserving, that the show suffered because it had to be shown through Helen's eyes, and Helen was more often than not a negative character, and it led to this quite dark cloud over the series. It was a very negative series because, in my opinion, I've got it about I've got a third last. I've got it just ahead of Big Brother 12 and Big Brother 4 as a series, and that honestly it would have been there even if Helen hadn't won, because it was just such a negative, poor series. And I mean, I do give Channel 4, Channel 5 a lot more praise than what some people might do, because I think 13 and 14 were genuinely good series. But this one was so focused on negativity, it's so focused on contrived controversy, the rest of the show suffered as a result. And I mean, I've heard they've got one more year left on the contract, and the big thing I want to do is, well, first, obviously, I don't want any sort of contrived issues in regards to producer pets, the arguable producer pets. But more than anything I want fun. I mean, I love controversy, I love arguments and Big Brother, but at the same time, I want something which is escapist light entertainment, and I never got that this year. I just got a sea of really miserable, dreary, argumentative people. I mean, even Ashley, who was probably my favourite contestant of that season, still had a nasty negative side to her. It wasn't enjoyable. It was 10 weeks of really poor television, in my opinion, and I've never been the biggest lover of the celebrity series, the summer celebrity series. But this one I'm really looking forward to. I'm obviously I'm going to watch it, because you've watched 15 years of the show, you can't give up now. I'm really looking forward to it, though, just because anything is going to be better than what we saw. What should be absolutely terrible, knowing my luck. But I've said my bit. I'm not too bitter. It's rewarding a big character on a show which needs to have big characters winning, rather her than someone like Sam. But and it doesn't sit well with me more than anything. The way that the audience fell for quite poor production tricks, in my opinion. That's all I'm going to say, though. I hope you tune in for Big Brother's Big Archive. I'm looking forward to recording it. It's going to be, I can imagine, a very argumentative show, that one. But fingers crossed you can join us for that. I hope that you at least understand where I'm coming from with some of my opinions. And bye bye for now. See you later.